As wildfires continue to break records for their size, there's a debate heating up about whether more logging may help prevent or keep them smaller.
Our investigative reporter Kyle Harvey examined all sides of the argument, taking multiple trips to the mountains to speak with the Forest Service, the lumber industry, and environmentalists, all of whom say they love the forest and hate fires.
Before delving into the pros and cons of this, we asked the government about the overall health of our forest. Our first stop, Brian Block and Al Watson at the Forest Service, who described a problem of historic proportions.
In the last 20 years of you doing this, have you ever seen more dead trees than what you see today?
No. We've seen an increase of tree mortality sometimes up to 50%.
Still, some groves of trees are very dense, too dense, Watson says, for their own good.
Whether it's precipitation or just even the nutrients within the soil. If there's too much, then they're competing against each other, and that means a less healthy forest.
Now, the way the Forest Service addresses this problem is by hiring logging crews to come through and thin out the forest, taking out only pre-selected trees.
Block showed us how trees pegged to go are marked with paint.
We put in attention bands, what we call it a stripe of paint all the way around the tree at about 4.5 to 6 feet tall. And then we also put a dot down at the base, such as this, so that after the tree is cut down, we know that this was a designated tree.
Okay, so they didn't go through and cut something they weren't supposed to.
Correct.
But not everyone likes the plan.
It has not been shown by science that thinning is beneficial to reducing fires.
Environmentalists like Ara Marderosian of Sequoia Forest Keepers say logging started the fire problems, and even targeted thinning efforts present a risk, not a solution.
Thinning the forest is only going to allow the forest to become hotter and drier.
Trees aren't kindling, grass and small plants are. So he says the fire budget ought to pay for a lot more mowing.
The grass on the side of the road is the most important thing that needs to be dealt with, because people start fires, and so let's get rid of the grasses, focus on the grasses, and leave the trees alone.
On the other side are the loggers. We met with some working up in the area where the cedar fire burned 2 years ago. They work with the government to clear trees that the Forest Service says should go.
It's pretty hard to beat my office. I enjoy being up here.
Under the deal, loggers like Ryan Day do all the work and pay for the timber that they haul away. It's sent to a mill near Porterville, the last one in the region, where Darren Marr and his colleagues turn it into all sorts of things, from pencils to housing materials.
Dimension lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s. 10 feet to 16 feet in length, and we also make shop grade lumber.
Market demand for wood is strong and could support more logging, but logging's been in steady decline for decades because of lawsuits from environmentalist groups.
The Forest Service will put up a timber sale, and it's constantly litigated, shot down.
Day concedes that logging might have needed a change.
When they first started out, they did have legitimate concerns. They were, I don't know if I completely agree with their concerns, but I could see their point back then.
But he thinks the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction because of opportunistic lawyers.
If they win the lawsuit, then the government pays their legal fees. It's not about saving the forest, it's about them making a living.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Tell me why
if
it's
the
ridiculous.
Forest Service would follow the law, then they wouldn't have to be sued.
The relevant law is called NEPA, a set of federal regulations that require an environmental review before the Forest Service offers a timber sale. And the lumber guys think it works.
There are reasons to take inventory of why you should harvest in an area and why not on other places. And so I think the Forest Service NEPA process is good at addressing those reasons.
But that's a matter of perspective. In this particular logging site, Marderosian wanted our viewers to see this bird.
Now he's on the left. The blackback woodpecker in particular likes burn forest habitat.
This little bird loses some of his habitat when trees are felled. But it's not just this species, Marderosian says, is impacted by the logging.
It's going to change the ability of nature to recover on its own.
The Forest Service allows logging in burned areas because they're worried about burned trees falling in places where people drive or visit. And dead trees on the ground anywhere, they say, fuels fires. One thing's for sure, the debate over what to do is nowhere close to settled.
there's no doubt in my mind that it would, it's not going to stop, or stop it completely, but you're going to be able to catch these fires a lot quicker.
They're opening the forest to having more sun shine on the forest floor, which is going to grow more grasses. It's the grasses that are the most flammable.